Where does profit come from? Let's talk about things that people think are legitimate ways to make money in the world. Let's take Apple stock. Let's take Burger King, because more of you guys have been to Burger King recently than bought iPhones probably. You buy 10% of the shares of ownership of your local Burger King franchise. You now own 10% of that Burger King. Can you add menus to the item? Or can you add items to the menu? No. Can you change the hours of operation? No. Can you change the prices? No. Okay. So what exactly can you do with your 10% ownership of your local Burger King? What can you do with that? You can do exactly one thing. You can sell your shares to the next guy and hope that you made money. And that's it. That's all you can do. Richard, that sounds like a scam. Okay. Well, that's the majority of profitable behavior in the world, right? Owning shares in companies and those companies building goods and services and people using their goods and services. That's the vast majority of economic output in the world. The only thing that matters is goods and services. All the money and finance and stuff is just ways to help reduce friction to make the goods and services production and distribution work better. And so people don't understand much about company ownership. They don't understand much about stock ownership. They don't understand much about the stock market. Or worse, they think they understand a lot, and really they're just smart enough to be dangerous. So where does the money come from? Let's say you buy Apple stock. You as an Apple shareholder, can you change the prices? No. Can you change the hours? No. Can you add products? No. Can you change the logo? No. What can you do as a minority shareholder? Absolutely nothing. And then they introduce extra restrictions on top of that. In Facebook, the majority of shares are non-voting. And then even if you owned the majority of shares in Facebook, they wouldn't have voting rights. And you still couldn't change anything anyway. So, in fact, the majority of the stock market and the appreciation of stock prices is the next guy buying. Period. That's it. But they have revenue. Yeah. Show me how when someone buys an iPhone, the shareholder gets the money. Someone buys an iPhone, the retailer gets the money. They use that to pay their bill for the iPhone that they had in inventory. It goes into the Apple bank account. There it sits. Apple sits on a lot of cash and pays some of their bills with Foxconn that manufactures their phones and pays some of their employees. Okay, now tell me where that money from the person that bought the phone goes to the person that owns the shares. It doesn't. There's two rare exceptions to this: stock buybacks and dividends. And in a stock buyback, in order for you to harvest that money going back, you have to sell your shares. You don't just get the money. So if you own a business, you just get the money, right? If you're a sole proprietor and you paint somebody's house and they write you a check, you got the money. You don't have to sell any shares to get the money. So in the form of a stock buyback, they're not even really giving you the money that came from the sale of the phone. What's another way? Dividends. And in this case, this is the actual only case that I'm aware of where money from sales actually ends up in the hands of shareholders. Period. That's it. Okay. So now, what portion of the appreciation in stock and the revenue of a shareholder is from dividends? Unless you have utilities, which have high dividends historically, it's all the next guy buying higher, period. So the vast majority of profitability in stocks is the next guy buying higher. You don't have any power, you don't have any control, you can't do crap, you can just buy the shares and hope the number goes up and hope that you sell to the next guy higher. Period. That's it. So, and that's the reason you have unprofitable companies that are the richest companies in the world. How long did Amazon lose money? Forever. I think it might have just started being profitable last year. Lost money for 20 years. It's half of all the internet sales in the United States. Jeff Bezos is every once in a while the richest person in the world. But his company lost money. Why? Because the market understands that future profitability is worth so much that you could just lose money now because you're buying more money in the future. So you're not really losing money. You're just shifting the making of the money from now to the future at a larger amount, like a discounted cash flow. So once again, people that are just smart enough to be dangerous, they say silly things like, oh, Amazon's never made any money. They make tons of money. They could just reduce their advertising budget and reduce their R&D budgets and just sit on what they've got and make huge bank. But they'd rather multiply what they've got and reinvest in the future to make more later. Makes more sense. And since the market can predict what's going to happen in the future, I mean, the chart for Amazon went up in the 2000s, dropped 95%, and then went up forevermore. And it's just up and to the right forever. Similar to Tesla, similar to HEX, similar to Bitcoin, similar to Ethereum, similar to a lot of cryptocurrencies. Everything that's priced against the dollar goes up and to the right forever because they keep minting dollars for free out of thin air. Nobody needs yours. Nobody needs your dollars that you worked really hard for because they can go get the free, cheap dollars from the government. And here we come to our next lesson. So my goal here, one, I want to teach you how to not get hacked. Two, I want to teach you where all the profit comes from. Because people just don't understand where the profit comes from. They don't get it. Their little tiny brains can't understand, and I'm going to help them. I'm going to educate them. All of your yield, or the vast majority of your yield, as a shareholder in a company, comes from the next guy buying higher, and not at all from dividends and stock buybacks, except in some rare cases where some companies have high dividends or high buyback behavior. And in that case, dividends is the more real of the two because you don't have to sell shares in order to get your dividend. But you do have to sell shares in order to harvest the increase in share price from a stock buyback.